Did you know that as a buyer, you use both sides of your brain when you're purchasing a home? I know that's a crazy thing to say, but when you're a buyer, you start out with the right side of your brain. Okay, this side's right. You start out with the right side of your brain, and it's emotional. You're zipping around Zillow, you're racing around Realtor, and you're like, oh, that's a pretty house, oh, that's a pretty house, and you start to think, hey, we should buy a house. So that gets you started as the emotional side of your brain. And then the logical side of your brain kicks in and you say, hey, we need to find a realtor. That's me. And then we sign a buyer or broker agreement because again, we're being logical. You're hiring me to help you buy a house. And then I send you to a lender and you are pre-approved. Not pre-qualified, but pre-approved. That's some of the hard analytical side of your brain. And then the next thing is we have a buyer consultation. And we talk about the nice to haves and the need to haves, the neighborhoods. And keep in mind, as a buyer, you might not get 100% of what you want. Typically, I tell people if you get 80% of what you want, you're doing good. Now, here's the problem. You need to decide what your nice to haves and what your need to haves. And here's what I mean. So here in Margaritaville, if you have to have a gas cooktop, you need to buy a house with a gas cooktop because that's an upgrade. And when you go to new home construction in your building, you have to pay for that. So if you find a house in here that has electric, it's highly unlikely that you'll be able to step out for gas. So that is a have to have. So that's part of your 80%. But if you want extended concrete, if you want a bird cage, that is part of the 20% because that's something you can do after closing to personalize it. Or if the house has carpet or tropical paint, again, the carpet can come out, the house can be painted. So those are easy things that you need to put in the 20% column because that gives you the opportunity to change. In general real estate, outside of Margaritaville, a fence is part of the 20%. If you find a house that's in the neighborhood that you want and the price point you can afford and it doesn't have a fence, you could always build a fence or pull out the carpet or paint the walls, right? So you can always do these improvements. But don't tell me you're not going to buy this house because it doesn't have the bird cage or it doesn't have a fence, because those are things you can do after closing to personalize it. So those are some of the logical side of the brain that you use. Now, once we get all that out of the way and we start looking at homes and we get in my car and we've picked out the houses that speak to you, not only are we going to look at the houses that fit your needs, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, fenced in yard, whatever, but we're going to look also at houses that you didn't say you wanted that doesn't necessarily fit in the box that you told me. And here's why. Because as we start going through the house, the emotional side of your brain kicks in. So I would tell you, last week, I took some buyers from Ohio. It was really just a shopping trip. It really wasn't a buying trip. And we already did the logical side. We got pre-approved. We knew what we wanted. We knew the price range. We knew the 80-20 rule. And we looked at like 10 houses. And all of them were nice and they liked all of them. But it was the 11th house that was nothing that they said that they wanted. It was new home construction. It fell out of contract, so they were able to put their name on it. It had a lagoon view, which they said they didn't want because they wanted privacy. It's close to the neighbors. So those are some of the things that they said they didn't want. But you know what? That was part of their 20%. The 80% they got was the gas cooktop, right? They got the gray that they wanted. They got the extended lanai, the bird cage, and it wasn't even a floor plan that was on their radar. So if you reach out to me, I'm Penny Rafferty, just know that we're going to be working with both sides of your brain because the logical side is going to tell you 3 bedrooms, 2 baths with a fence. And the emotional side, when you walk through that front door and it's 4 bedrooms, 2-story and no fence, and the skies open up and the light shines down and the angels start singing, that's the home. So just keep that in mind. You need to use the F word, which is flexible, and be open to other opportunities that may or may not fit within your logical side of your brain. If you need more tips and tricks, drop some comments below. You'll be happy you did.